Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Welcome to the launch event of our new UN Digital Community. We'll give about another 15 seconds for people who are waiting in the waiting room to join us. I still see a lot of people joining. And if you're just joining, please introduce yourself in the chat as well. Maybe put your name and which country you are from, or maybe your organization. Maybe we can start now. Once again, good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Welcome to the launch event of our new UN Digital Community. We are thrilled to have you all here today to connect with fellow digital practitioners from across the UN and to engage in a conversation on how to drive a cultural shift around digital throughout the UN system. And my name is Gayan Pires. I'm supporting the UN Digital Community in my role as Head of Data and Technology at UNDP's Chief Digital Office. And I'm very excited to guide you through an exciting agenda we have for you today. Now, before we go there, this is a disclaimer that our session today will be recorded and shared, and maybe a recap video may be shared externally on social media. So I just wanted to disclose that. We are delighted to welcome some inspiring speakers today, and our agenda is packed with insights and initiatives aimed at driving digital transformation in support of the UN 2.0 agenda. We'll kick off with a brief overview of what the UN Digital Community has to offer to you. Following that, we are delighted to welcome Secretary-General of the International Telecommunication Union, Doreen Bogdan-Martin, and Ayaka Suzuki, Director of Strategic Planning and Monitoring Unit at the Executive Office of the Secretary-General, EOSG, and UNDP's Chief Digital Officer, Robert Opp, for a panel discussion exploring the role of digital for the UN 2.0's vision of a modernized, future-ready UN system. And then we will hear from Amandeep Gill, the Secretary-General's Envoy on Technology, who's advocating for digital capacity building across the UN. Then we'll showcase some digital initiatives that are already transforming the way we work across the UN system. Throughout our session, we'll be taking Q&As. Please use the Q&A function. We will give you the opportunity to engage directly with the speakers. And we encourage you to actively participate, share your thoughts, and make the most of what this community has to offer, since your involvement is the key to building a thriving, dynamic digital community. Now, without further ado, let's move on to a quick overview of what the UN Digital Community has to offer. For that, I'm handing over to Julia Schuditz, who will be leading this new digital community. Julia, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gayan. I'll be keeping this very brief since we have a packed agenda and great speakers joining us. We're very excited to see digital completing the group of UN 2.0 knowledge communities, and the focus for this community is going to be all about embedding a digital mindset and culture across the UN. And we want to do so by creating a space where colleagues can get together and share knowledge and expertise, as well as good practices for digital programs across the UN. And by providing a platform for these conversations, we hope that we can strengthen collaboration and nurture learning and capacity building. We believe that for digital especially, it's really important to bring in outside perspectives, and that is why the community will be externally facing for some offers, like this launch event, but not all. Our core offer consists of events, knowledge assets, and trainings based on member needs or learning goals, peer-to-peer learning, and networking opportunities. Like I said, that is the core offering, but we are calling on all members to help share and co-create this. And so immediate next ways to get engaged are signing up and sharing the community with your network. For UN colleagues, say hi in the UNDC Teams group and head to our internal knowledge hub to share and explore digital strategies. There's a job board as well. And for everyone, come check out our externally facing website. All links to that are in the chat. And if you have any questions or input, you can reach Johanna or I at digital@un.org. And with that, I want to hand back over to Gayan. Thank you all so much for coming and welcome to the community.
Thank you very much, Julia. I see a lot of people are putting where they are from in the chat. It's very exciting to see people from all over the world. With that, we want to now dive deeper into the impact of digital transformation on organizations and how to make digital capacities a priority for a modern UN system. So for this discussion, we want to welcome our speakers. First, we are delighted to have Secretary-General of ITU, Doreen Bogdan-Martin. We are also joined by Ayaka Suzuki, who is the Director of the Strategic Planning and Monitoring Unit at the EOSG, who's graciously offered to step in for the Under-Secretary General Guy Ryder, who was not able to join us today. And we have Robert Opp, UNDP's Chief Digital Officer, who will be moderating this conversation. Handing over to you, Rob.
Thank you so much, Gayan, and greetings to everyone, wherever you find yourselves. It is wonderful to see so many people interested in this launch and joining this launch. And as Gayan said, we wanted to start with a short discussion among some of the co-hosts for this digital community to really understand, partly the why behind why is the UN launching this kind of effort overall as part of the UN 2.0 effort, and then to understand why agencies need to see this as important. And of course, many of you who are working across the UN probably already see parts of this, but we really wanted to kind of get an overview of this in this panel. So without further ado, I want to turn to our panelists. And I'll start actually with Ayaka, who is in the Executive Office of the Secretary General and really has been a key architect of the UN 2.0 effort. And I think, it would be really useful, Ayaka, for us to hear a little bit about why the Secretary General found it so important to launch this UN 2.0 effort, of which digital is an important part. Over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Rob. And first of all, Guy sends his apologies. He was looking forward to joining you today. So, very good question. As you may recall, UN 2.0 was actually very much part of his campaign for the second term. And it really is about modernizing the UN to better support member states and address 21st century challenges. I mean, he keeps saying you cannot solve 21st century challenges with 20th century tools. And sometimes we're even using 19th century tools. So it's about time. And at its core, as you saw earlier in the slide that was shown, it is about building 5 modern skill sets in data, digital, innovation, foresight, and behavioral science. And I'm so pleased to be part of this launch, which completes the 5 communities of practice suite offering as a whole of UN 2.0 knowledge communities. And so to do that, we need to build new expertise to help accelerate SDG progress and better support member states. And why digital? I mean, I don't think I need to be telling you this, or your title being Chief Digital Officer, and everybody who's on this call today. I think it's so clear that stronger digital capabilities are so critical to the UN 2.0 vision. I mean, all 5 areas are interrelated, but I mean, digital is such a central element to all of them. And I mean, digital approaches enable us to reach more people, serve better, and including in remote areas where people are too often left behind. And we saw this very clearly during the COVID crisis. But here's a challenge. Digital is a fast-moving field. Every day there is major breakthrough. So it requires continuous updates to skills, knowledge, and behaviors to keep pace, and with rapid technology to keep pace with rapid technological advancement. So that's why a community like this is so essential. And as the world is moving and changes, so are the expectations of member states. And I think many of you here are aware that member states are currently negotiating the Global Digital Compact, which is a very important annex to the Pact of the Future, which will be adopted at the Summit of the Future this coming September. So, I mean, it really is something that, yes, it is a key priority of the Secretary General, but he's also responding to the needs of the member states. And then that is repeated every time SG or the DSG meets with their interlocutors. So yeah, so that is my quick, or maybe not so quick response to you. In order to do this, we have to walk the talk. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Ayaka. And you mentioned that supporting member states is really the ultimate aim here. And if I can turn to Doreen for a second, Doreen, you lead the International Telecommunication Union, which provides digital transformation to support countries worldwide. Tell us a little bit about what's on their minds. What is it why is it so important for member states to really advance digital transformation at this point in time?
Yeah, thank you, Rob, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me perhaps start by just saying how delighted we are to be part of this launch together with you, Rob, at UNDP, the Executive Office, and of course the UN Innovation Network. Digital transformation is at the core of our work in ITU. It's critical when we think about the fact that a third of humanity still doesn't have access to anything digital. And our member states see, and Ayaka mentioned, of course, the pandemic, our member states want to leverage digital as an enabler, as an accelerator. We saw last year that if we can leverage digital technologies, leverage digital transformation, we have a much better chance of achieving the 2030 agenda. And so our work at the ITU is to help member states put in place the right policies, help member states develop the right skill sets so that they can roll out digital across all sectors of the economy.
Absolutely, and I have to say we see the exact same thing from our perspective, and making that link to the overall human development, social and economic development. We really see digital transformation as an accelerator, and this is where we've been so privileged to work alongside ITU as partners in some of this work as well. I'd like to turn to both of you with a question that is really getting down to sort of where the entities that are part of this network, so the organizations across the UN system, what kinds of capabilities do you think they need to be thinking about? Many are already thinking about it, but what are the kinds of priorities that you would suggest that they be thinking about when it comes to creating this digital capability in their organizations themselves? And Doreen, maybe we can turn back to you again for your answer, and then we'll go to Ayaka.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps, Rob, picking up on Ayaka's point about walking the talk, I think that's so critical. So upskilling our staff to be able to leverage digital. We have lots of new things happening as a result of generative AI. So being able to upskill our staff, being able to leverage the data that we gather, having more analytical skill sets, being able to carry out strategic foresight exercises. These are all things that we need to do as institutions. In the ITU, we have launched a transformation initiative ourselves, where we're focused on thought leadership, strategic engagement, and organizational excellence. And of course, this digital aspect runs at the core of all of those efforts. I would say also at the same time, something else that we've done that has been tremendously helpful, because it's been a bottom-up exercise, has been to launch a change makers program. And so we put staff through a change management program, and they developed a number of cases that could help the institution to advance. And in many cases, those initiatives are fully embracing digital, whether it's for our conference management, our document management, or our internal HR and finance systems, how to make our systems more efficient and more effective.
Thanks, Ayaka. Over to you.
Yeah, so first we have to have digital talent to start with. And it's probably very obvious to you in UNDP and ITU, but I think many other entities were still not really there yet. So I think it's really important that UN entities should focus on hiring more digital talent and training all colleagues to build digital expertise across the board. So, I mean, I think that some of us still feel like, oh, it's, but that's for IT colleagues. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's for everybody. So I think it's really important that everybody thinks about how everybody in their job could use digital skill sets to enhance what they're already doing. So it's really how to integrate digital expertise. And then, and I think it's really important, and I think, people like Doreen and Ahim, yourself, of course, Rob, and then others, you already do this, but leaders of unit entities also need to support and nurture digital culture and promoting new ways of working and continuous learning. And, I wanted to flag UN 2.0 policy brief. For those of you who have not read it, please do. It outlines key 10 action drivers, which includes focus on skills, culture, problem-led approaches, which is really important. And well, I'll get back to that, and partnerships, networks, and financing. And I want to focus a little bit on problem-led approach, because often at the UN, we try to get the structures and processes right. So we do terms of reference, SOPs, etc. And then by the time you build the perfect machinery, the world has moved on. So I think, I mean, not that those are not important, but I think it's really important to have problem-led approaches or use case-centered approaches. And then secondly, so that what does that mean? I mean, it means how do we use digital to offer our program offerings for member states in areas like education, agriculture, health, energy, and all of these areas, and work to accelerate the SDGs. And already on UN 2.0 platform, we have over 550 examples of these country level program offers. So I think that's a really great way to start. What does it actually look like? So you're not doing this in abstract. And so I think that's really important. It's not change for the change's sake, but really problem-led approach. And then, and the reason why we're here today is the community of practice. It's so important to exchange experiences, learn from each other. We have seen that the best way to learn is through collaboration and to learn from each other. So really, this is such a great initiative. And thank you so much to UNDP and ITU for co-hosting this great platform.
Well, thank you, Ayaka. And you actually answered my next question, which was really going to be about, why is this network so important? And, I think we've been talking about how our different agencies have done different pieces of work, and exchanging that is really quite important. And as we need to close off this panel, Doreen, I'll go to you for the last word. From your side, what do you have in terms of an aspiration for this network, the digital community that we're launching? What do you think is going to make it effective?
I think what will make it most effective, Rob, is when we join hands on the ground in country. And so the ability to be able to connect the dots on our own existing digital initiatives in country. We're doing that already, Rob, through the joint SDG fund and the digital window. So to the extent that we can come together on the ground, that's where we will see the biggest impact, whether it's helping a country roll out a GovStack program, a smart island program, a digital health program, a giga connectivity school program. I think that's where we will make a big difference, because digital, it's not just an IT thing, as Ayaka was saying. Digital underpins every sector of the economy, and we got to join forces on the ground and be able to leverage this great community to make an impact.
Absolutely. And I would also just say quickly that, a core part of the SDGs is SDG 17 about partnerships. And this community is not only open to UN agencies, but also to lots of different people that are coming from private sector, from civil society organizations or nonprofits. So it's a good way to make connections and really make us effective on the ground. Ayaka, did you want to come in for a last word? I saw you unmute.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to reinforce the importance of connecting. And yes, there's a lot of good interagency collaboration that's already happening. both through these communities, but also on the ground. But as Julia said earlier, it's also about diverse partnerships. I'm glad that some of it is going to be externally facing, because it's so important, especially in this area, to be partnering with universities and NGOs and private sectors. And that helps us really close the our capacity gap so that we can better support member states. And ultimately, UN 2.0 vision is about ensuring that the UN stays relevant for today's and tomorrow's challenges. So really, I'd like to address all of you who have joined this call today. I'm glad you did. Please take advantage of the offerings of this future offerings of this platform, and to really work together on this digital transformation journey, as it's so integral to our vision for the future. And speaking of the future, there's a Summit of the Future happening in September, and we hope to see contributions from all of these communities of practice, knowledge communities towards the action days that will lead up to the Summit of the Future. So I really look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as I turn back to Gayan to take us into the rest of the program, I just want to thank both of you for taking the time to be with us in this panel, but also just for your partnership overall. And it really is a great honor to be co-leading this network along with the UN Innovation Network. So we look forward to our work going forward as well. And Gayan, back to you.
I thank you very much, Rob. I'm having a bit of trouble with the video here, but thank you, Ayaka, thank you, Doreen, thank you for your insights, and thank you for joining us today. Next, we building on those insights. Actually, we have we are delighted to now. Now I can start my video. Apparently, okay. We are delighted to now hear from the United Nations Envoy on Technology, Amandeep Gill, who will be sharing his thoughts on the importance of strengthening digital capacities in the UN system. We cannot hear the audio.
1 second, I'm going to reshare my screen.
While we sort the technical problem there, it's great to see people already engaging in conversations in chat. I see some questions in the Q&A section, and I also see some people in chat already answering those questions as well, which is the true spirit of the community. I'm so glad people are doing it. Please continue doing it. Continue introducing yourself in chat, and with that, let's go to the video.
Thank you.
Greetings, my name is Amandeep Gill, and I'm the United Nations Secretary-General's Envoy on Technology. I'm also a digital nerd. In our rapidly advancing digital landscape, technologies like artificial intelligence are reshaping our world, our economies, our polities, our societies. This transformation affects everyone, including us at the UN, and it underlines the value of digital cooperation coming together around the governance of these technologies in shaping our future. We are at a critical moment as we prepare for the Summit of the Future, where the Global Digital Compact is one of the planned outcomes. The vision is that of an open, free, secure, and inclusive digital future for all. In this digital era, it's important for us at the UN to evolve our digital capabilities, ensure that the work we are supporting is mirrored in the organization itself. Aligning our skills, knowledge, and operations with this transformation is beneficial for us, say through integrating user-friendly digital solutions into our day-to-day activities and ensuring that they meet the varied needs of the communities we serve. Encouraging a digital mindset across the UN, aligned with the UN 2.0 vision and the Quintet of Change, can support innovation and progress across all pillars of our work. This requires leadership engagement. This requires integration in job roles of the digital aspects that I spoke about. It also requires new partnerships, multi-stakeholder partnerships, learning from the private sector, from civil society and academia, and working with them to do things that we simply cannot do inside the United Nations. Through a collaborative and knowledge-sharing approach across UN entities and with our partners outside, we can foster a digital-first mentality in our operations. This approach will improve our capacity to address global challenges, enhance support to member states, and better address the expectations of all our stakeholders. This is the only way how we can address the digital divide, not only the old digital divide of the connectivity gap and a skills gap, but also the emerging digital divides around data and AI, and use these technologies to advance on all the sustainable development goals. I encourage you to engage with the new UN digital community. Together, we can enhance our capabilities and cultivate a digital-first mindset throughout the UN. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank Amandeep for that call for capacity building and inter-organizational collaboration. And with that in mind, we want to introduce 4 initiatives from across the UN system that showcases how we can develop and apply digital capacities in all of the UN. And for that, with us, we have Nick Holden, Head of Digital Experience from UNDP's Digital Studio team, and Brenda Gunday, Global Senior Technical Specialist for ICT for Development at IFAD, and Tena Martins-Moraes, Digital Innovation Officer at UNHCR, and Robert McTavish, Premier Lead at UNICEF. Welcome, speakers. Thank you for joining us. With that, I'm handing over to Nick to get us started. Nick, over to you.
Thank you, Guyan. And just may I say, I'm so delighted to see we have 460 colleagues on the call from all over the world. It's really wonderful to read, see all your LinkedIn links, etc., and connect. This is already a vibrant community, so I'm really happy to be part of it. Yes, my name is Nick, and I'm from UNDP. Indeed, Rob's my boss. I am going to talk to you today about Digital Studio. This is my team. We're a digital solutions team, and our mission is to build better products faster. The next slide will show you the problem we're trying to solve, and I would love you to put in the chat, please give me a thumbs up or something in the chat if this sounds familiar. Building digital products in the UN is frustrating. You've got teams who don't know what they're doing, trying to build something they don't understand. They don't know quite what they want, so they don't get what they expect. Don't know what to expect, so they write a poor TOR and they don't get the right people. It's frustrating because no one knows quite what they're doing technically. Tell me if this sounds familiar. We hear this all the time. We speak to people who might be specialists on gender or governance or monitoring hunger, but not necessarily specialists on digital tools and products. And so often they want to be digital, but their specialization is in a different area, and they struggle to make the digital solutions. So on the next slide is another terrible statistics. 86% of software products fail. This is not UN, this is just globally. So many software projects, they're built and then they never fail to launch, or they're very unsuccessful. And we're really on a mission to change that, but specifically for the UN. On the next slide, it's a bit about us. So Digital Studio, we built this little sort of design and digital agency within UNDP. that builds everything you see there in front of you. So we build web and mobile apps, platforms, loads of AI tools. Those are really increasing in demand. We also do service design. So that's kind of designing the human experience that interconnects with the digital experience. We also do search knowledge bases and dashboards. Next slide, please. The other thing we do is we help teams to figure out what to build. So we help them with ideation, coming up with the idea for the product, figuring out how to kind of what we call productize their offer. So figuring out how their specialty and their services can be turned into products. We do improvement on process design. We can work on scalability. So if there's an existing product or service, how can it be scaled? We also do audits if you've got technology or that you think might be weak on design or how it's built, we can help to figure that out. And we do loads of custom workshops. Next slide, please. You're going to have to click through that a few times. The reason that Studio works well within UNDP is that you don't need to procure us. So it's very low admin to get started with us, which is an advantage at the moment because, as you know, procurement can be lengthy and difficult sometimes in the UN system, depending on the context. We also literally wrote the digital standards for UNDP, so we know about best practice and how to make efficient and impactful solutions. We have a big database of experts, so we work with everybody from data specialists and AI specialists through to behavioral scientists, for example. And we have a catalog of existing solutions because sometimes the best solution is to not build a new solution, but to work with one that's existing and then scale it. There's loads of fantastic open source solutions that are very appropriate to UN's work. We also are very cost effective because we're not a commercial venture, as you can imagine. Next slide, please. I like showing this because at the moment, sometimes working with a vendor, I don't know how it is. Please let me know in the chat how it is in your organization, but in UNDP, it can be difficult. So currently around 5 to 8 months to get started with a software development vendor. In our case, you could start work with our team in 2 weeks. Next slide, please. Our approach is to be, and I hope you're all taking the same approach, to be very human-centered. So though we're building digital products, human beings must really be at the center, also the planet, of course. So designing solutions that have the end users and key stakeholders' needs really embedded and designed for along the way. We know global development for sure. And we're always working with the latest development practices. And by there I mean software development as well as humanitarian development, and working with the latest tools and technology to make sure that we're keeping our work absolutely at the forefront of the latest approaches and thinking. Next slide. Here's a couple of examples. I'll just show them. We won't click through to them, but we built the Digital Development Compass. This is a really great tool. If you haven't seen it yet, please search UNDP Digital Development Compass and have a look. It's a very interactive site. The globe rotates slowly and you can click into each country and see a kind of like a light high-level assessment on their current digital maturity. So please jump in, click on your country, see where you're at. It's built on the UNDP's digital transformation framework. So there's a set of criteria and the data is pulled from publicly available and global sources all the time. So it's very current in terms of its data and gives you a really interesting kind of first look at digital maturity. Next slide, please. This is another great tool. I'm sharing all the tools that I think you might find useful. So this is the Data to Policy Navigator. This one's really about capacity building. It's like helping policymakers use data to inform better decisions around policy. It's got in there, you can see at the top, step-by-step guide. It really takes you, policymakers, step-by-step through how to use data to better inform their policy. So it's an example of guiding people through new ways of thinking and doing things via an interactive website. So it's a really good one. Next slide. Oh, that's it. There you go. That's my time is up. I just wanted to say, if you've got lessons or insights or things you're struggling with, please reach out, nicola.holden@undp.org. I'll also put that in the chat. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We're keen to also work with the broader UN system. So obviously UNDP colleagues, please reach out. But if you're also not in UNDP, please reach out. It would be great to chat. In particular, if you'd love to build an AI tool to automate some of the work you're doing. We're doing things like assessing projects for risk or writing draft reports, that kind of thing. Let me know. We have a few sort of ready-made tools that might be helpful for you. And I'll leave it there, but thank you so much everyone for your attention. Thank you for being here. What an awesome community already. And I look forward to connecting with you all again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nick. I think I'll take that as my cue. My name is Brenda Gunde. I'm a Global Senior Technical Specialist for ICT for Development in Agriculture for IFAD. And as the panelists were mentioning before, skills and talent will be very important for UN 2.0, coordinator of change, for both UN staff and also for member states. We have been working on training programs on digital in agriculture, which I'm going to showcase on the next slide. So their program is more focused, driven from IFAD strategic framework, which is focused on strengthening the corridor of IFAD country programs through innovation, knowledge sharing, but also partnership and policy engagement. Within IFAD ICT4D strategy, we are focused on building capacity and awareness on ICT for development in agriculture for IFAD staff as well as for member states. We've also seen this as a very critical tool to contribute towards UN 2.0 coordinator of change, where it's talking about under digital pillar, focusing on development of digital skills and culture, embracing technological advancements and integrating them to our work process. So we have been building these tools to support both IFAD staff, but also our member states. The next slide, please. In the chat, I'll be helped where we have links to this to all these programs. The first one is we developed a fundamentals of ICT for development in agriculture. For those that are interested in agriculture, do you agree with me that out there are not very many tools that actually support understanding what are the essentials for you to integrate digital technologies in agriculture? Stemming from, we have been hearing a lot about digital extension services. We've been hearing a lot about digital financial services. We've been also hearing about market linkages using digital tools to support smallholder farmers. So if you are interested in starting understanding of ICT for development in agriculture, I would urge you to start with the fundamentals course on ICT4D in agriculture. It covers all the thematic areas within agriculture. But we also have advanced courses that are looking at now advancing the elements that you would have learned in the fundamentals course. We're talking about specific thematic areas. And the areas that we had developed are actually human-centered, design-driven, because they're driven by demands from our projects and from the member states. The first one is on natural resource management and biodiversity. This course is going to teach you more about climate adaptation in terms of how we're using digital tools to support natural resource management and climate adaptation and mitigation. We also have a course on digital finance, which is focused on how digital tools are being used to provide credit and also in terms of analyzing creditworthiness of smallholder farmers and using those tools to support farmers to be able to access financial services. We also have another course that is looking at value chains and bundled service and market linkages, where it's more focused on specific value chains, specific technologies that are supporting value chain integration, and also in terms of how we can be able to bundle services to enable farmers to reduce the fatigue of learning or utilizing so many programs on their phones or even digital devices. You also find that we have developed another microsite, which now provides specific tools to technical teams in terms of how tools of developing of advisory services, but also in terms of how you can utilize several other tools such as market scanning. How do you go in a market to scan for the right digital tool? And also looking at other elements of how do you conduct a human-centered design process for developing an agriculture, digital agriculture tool. Next slide, please. What are some of their future directions? Considering what has been spoken today, we know that the agriculture space is actually transforming at a rapid pace, especially when it comes to digital agriculture. We are going to widely offer these courses. They are now available for public and also in terms of internal use. So you can actually go for free on IFAD website on the links that have been put in the chat, and you can take these courses and also get a certificate for free. We're also going to be working on incorporating other emerging technologies into our programs, especially building courses on AI for predictive analysis that are going to support digital agriculture transformation and agricultural development. We're also going to continuously monitor how these tools are being used so that we can be using those insights to create more work on learnings and also in terms of building more skills and talent on digital agriculture. Thank you so much for your listening in and looking forward to hear from you. You can see my email on the slide. Get in touch with us so you can learn more about some of the courses and the things that we're doing in IFAD on ICT for development in agriculture. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Taina, and I'm an Innovation Officer, part of UNHCR Innovation Service, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you to talk about our Digital Innovation Fund. So if we can go to the next slide, we're going to see what's the mission of the Innovation Service. So the mission is to create an enabling environment for innovation to flourish at UNHCR. So we do so by equipping staff with the knowledge, resources, and skills they need to solve problems and deliver UNHCR's mandate in new and effective ways. And also, truly important, we work directly with forcibly displaced people to ensure they have what they need to identify challenges and create solutions. So under the service, we have 5 different programs, one on data, one on environment, one on learning, a refugee-led one, and the Digital Innovation Program. The last one aims to ensure forcibly displaced and stateless persons are included in a connected society. And we innovate with and for communities. This is really important to us, to empower them to safely leverage digital technologies in a way that enhances their well-being and self-reliance. The UNHCR Innovation Program pilots innovative digital tools and services, laying the groundwork for UNHCR's digital transformation strategy. So if we can go to the next slide, we have a call for proposals every year, and those teams there are endorsed. After the selection process, they receive financial and program support, so seed funding up to $125,000 for implementation of a pilot project up to 18 months. They also receive technical support and are connected to other UNHCR colleagues and external actors for support in implementing the projects. Strategic communication support, it means trying to work with colleagues on how to amplify the learnings, the successes, and the failures of their innovative journey. And last, but also super important, is the guidance on designing appropriate monitoring frameworks and using feedback from communities. So also connected to Doreen's point on bringing all the conversation we have to country level, I guess this is a really interesting slide because this is about the supported projects we have. So between 2022 all the way to now, May 2024, we already have 164 proposals, out of which 29 projects were selected. Here are some examples of projects. So we have one in Poland on digital inclusion of people with disabilities, where the operation is going to establish a refugee-led observatory to optimize digital information access for refugees with disabilities, especially those with visual impairments. Another example is in Jordan, where the operation is developing an efficient mechanism to process requests using digital petition boxes equipped with AI-supported processing and analysis to analyze the text and audio submissions. This will lead to improved response rates. And another project is in Nigeria, also on digital inclusion, where the operation is equipping IDP, so internally displaced people, with digital storytelling skills to boost their media literacy, but also empower them to tell their own stories and enhance social connection. The number of projects supported are going to increase because we have right now the call for proposal open for 2024. And these examples are from projects that are undergoing implementation, but we also have projects that already completed their innovation journey. And a great example is for Ecuador, where we have a community connectivity and digital skills projects. And nothing better than hearing from the community members that were impacted by this project and actually were leading the implementation of the project to learn more about the work. So I really encourage all of you to take a look on this video. It's a short one, 1 minute, and also really looking forward to connect with all of you. Thank you so much. And over to Julia to play the video. Thanks.
Sí, todo el mundo puede acceder a Internet sin pagar nada. Súper, chéverísimo, para que la comunidad se pueda conectar a Internet. Y sí, yo voy a ser una de las guardianas, la que va a estar pendiente del router, de los aparatos. Tengo que estar pendiente que no se dañen, que no les pase nada. Tenía muchas dificultades al no tener internet. Ahorita pues puedo promocionar mi trabajo por internet, ayudar a los vecinos también que ellos tengan internet y principal, me puedo comunicar con mi familia que está lejos y ahorita pues ya la distancia no importa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robert McTavish. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to form part of this community, more than 400 people. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the journey that is Primero. It's an exciting product, and I want to explain a little bit how we've come today. We've been working with many of the partners that are on this call today to produce and scale a digital public good. And I think this is a really interesting opportunity for me to share some insights with the community. So in the next slide, I just want to give a little bit of background. I work as a child protection specialist with UNICEF. And UNICEF, we've moved ahead with the digital transformation strategy, very much aligned with the UN strategy, and it recognizes the criticality of digital as an accelerator for the SDGs. And this strategic depth and alignment has given us a home for Primero and a part of one of our major work streams around digital programs and the way that digital actually helps us enhance the delivery of services and programming. So in the next slide, I'm going to start with a sort of a problem statement. I work in a sector called child protection. It's a lesser known sector of work. It's really about preventing and responding to the worst types of things that happen to children: abuse, neglect, violence, not very nice subject matter. And the truth is, it's very tragic, but it's not a safe time to be a child. So there are a few data points on the screen here, but the idea that many, many children in the world, you know, and we saw this through COVID, this was absolutely critical in COVID, that social workers and social service workforce, they provide life-saving services for children that are facing violence in the home, children with disabilities, children that are in residential care and separated from their families. Really, really challenging issues. In the next slide, we're going to just see a little bit of the image of the type of workforce that I'm talking about. Highly vocational, incredibly dedicated. We rely on these people to reach the most vulnerable children in their communities with face-to-face, one-on-one support and a type of engagement that's really known as, it's called case management. This workforce is under-resourced. There's virtually nowhere in the world where the ministries and the civil society actors providing these services have what they need, have enough resources, have enough equipment, have enough workforce to meet the needs of these populations. And they rely on this practice called case management. In many, many, many places of the world, I've seen what the image that you're seeing there. Every one of those folders represents a case. It's a child. It's information about the terrible thing that might have happened to them, something that happened to them, something that they need one-on-one tailored support to address. And we see this this type of inefficiency and this type of analog paper-based system all over the world. In the next slide, we're going to just see a glimpse of what Primero is. Primero is a web application. It's a modern browser-based web application that is really modernizing child protection, gender-based violence, social services, workforce, the delivery of social services. And we're bringing these digital solutions to the field in a way that is easy for people to engage with, even places where digital literacy is a challenge, in their language, working online and offline with user-friendly tools that are easy to adapt to the context and easy to integrate into existing programs. You can see the link there and you can try it for yourself. So just to share a little bit, this is an example of how impactful we can be in the United Nations and in NGOs and global as digital services providers. This is a part of what we do now. Years ago, that was the question, are we suddenly going to become software services providers? The answer is yes. The answer is we're expected to do that. We're trusted to do that. And this is a UN-created digital public good is now operating at scale. This number went up from 74 to 75 live instances today. We went live in the Philippines with the Department of Social Welfare. So this is an example of how a digital product that's based on rights, that's there for and aligned with the SDGs, can achieve scale and be impactful at scale. In the next slide, I'll just quickly explain a little bit how we do this. So it's very much about jumping through the hoops and getting through the complexity of offering something like this within the UN. And part of that has to do with business models, making sure that there's predictable, understandable business models that are suited for government partners, and that the government partners we're working with know that this is for them, and this can be provided to them at a very, very low cost. And it's something that they can take ownership of and integrate into their own national strategies. On the final slide here, I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw where you can come and take a look. We're at primero.org. I'd appreciate your visit. My name is Robert McTavish, and I am very, very happy to be part of this community. Thanks very much.
Thank you, speakers. It's fascinating to see the approach different agencies have taken in digital, and Ayaka mentioned this in the beginning. It's not about just digital is not just about technology. It is a mindset for organizations. How Robert introduced himself as a child protection specialist. So how can someone like Robert in your organization change the mindset into digital and into a digital offer, transform the traditional offer into a digital offer? And I would like to go back to what Nick mentioned about not building the product. You saw in the presentations, if you are thinking about a digital solution in your programmatic area or in your business operations, the chances are someone in one of the UN organizations have already done it, already done something similar. And Robert mentioned about digital public goods as well. There are many digital public goods that you can reuse. So the whole point of this community is to share those experiences, share the needs, share your ask, share your idea, and there will be someone who will be responding to you with something they have done, which might be relevant to you. And that is the power of this community. That is the power of bringing all these initiatives together. And with that, we'll take maybe one question from chat because we are at time. But I want to invite you to stay on after this call. We will take you into breakout rooms, maybe for additional 30 minutes, where you can meet leads of the UN digital community and for community-related questions, and to meet some of the speakers of the initiatives that you saw and have an in-depth discussion in these breakout rooms. And our moderators will share the link in the chat. With that, I'll take one question before we conclude. Maybe let's see which question I can take here. There was a question on how can private sector be engaged in this. I know we have a lot of people from the UN joining, but people representing external entities as well. Maybe I'll go to Nick for this question. Nick, if you're still around, if you can answer, how can we engage private sector and why do we have to engage private sector?
Sure, absolutely. So I did answer this also in the chat, but I just wanted to say that you can't really have digital transformation in a country unless you're engaging with the private sector in that country. So local companies, local digital ecosystems, we call them, that's essential to the transformation. It can't just be you can't think government and society or populations. Business is a critical part of that. So certainly in our work, we're always trying to engage with local companies, local implementation and local knowledge, because that's where the change can really happen, and it doesn't work without the local knowledge. So just to say that's a very critical part. Also, we need to build digital skills, digital capacity in countries, and again, the business and private sector have a key role to play in that. Not to mention, businesses are often the ones building digital tools that can transform things. For example, payment apps, that kind of thing for finance. And that can really, if those products are well designed and they're highly accessible, they can really change people's skills because people are driven to engage with those digital technologies because it makes their lives easier, makes business better, and everybody prospers. So I think, just to say quickly, Guyan, business and private sector is essential in this, and certainly the UN broadly engages and is very keen to engage more. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And with that, I want to thank all the speakers again for joining us in officially launching today, and you, the audience, for participating and hopefully engaging with the community in the future. We will post the link to sign up for the community in the chat. And also, please introduce yourself in the team space we have created for you and contribute to the crowdsourced resource hub we have in SharePoint on the platform. And also, external members, look out for materials shared via the community's external channels and check out our website at UN Innovation Network/digital. And once again, a quick reminder, you can join those breakout rooms. Please follow the chat to join the breakout rooms so you can stay on if you can stay on for another 30 minutes to have a more engaged discussion. But before I conclude the event, I would like to commemorate this moment with a quick group photograph. So if you are okay with it, if you're okay with this photograph going on social media, please enable your cameras and please all smile. Let's take a quick picture. Maybe someone can take me off the main screen and so we can have a picture of everyone.
We got a nice one, Guyan. It's all good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, community, for joining. Have a good rest of your day.